As steel needles were inserted into my body, one by one, my brother was having a candlelit dinner with Cecilia. As I sent messages one after another, my brother was helping Cecilia choose clothes. He replied impatiently, "It's Cecilia's birthday today, don't be a nuisance." When I was fished out as a hedgehog, my brother's young and strong hands still couldn't pull out the needle lodged in my brow. My brother, the genius forensic scientist, didn't use his vaunted abilities to discover that the disfigured corpse was me, his most hated sister. I was dead, my body pierced with hundreds of steel needles. Like a hedgehog, my body constantly emitted a foul stench, attracting stray dogs nearby. My corpse was soon discovered, with dogs gnawing on it. Woof woof. It chewed on my flesh, soon emitting painful cries, because steel needles had pierced its throat. The police quickly processed the scene, and my corpse was soon transported to the morgue. I lay there quietly, waiting for my brother's arrival. Because my brother was the youngest genius forensic scientist in Icheng, my brother pushed open the morgue door, wearing a mask because of the smell of rotting flesh. He quickly prepared the necessary tools and lifted the white sheet covering me. Upon seeing my appearance, his pupils dilated, but he quickly regained his composure. My brother continued to examine my body, until his hand stopped at my brow, where a finger-thick steel needle was lodged. He took a deep breath, trying to pull it out, but he couldn't no matter how hard he tried. He could only give up and sigh quietly. The needle in the brow is what caused the victim's death. The other needles in the body were inserted while the victim was still alive, because the blood hasn't clotted. I looked at the finger-thick steel needle in my brow, which had been hammered in, because human strength wasn't enough. I could clearly feel the steel needle inching into my brain. When I had only a breath left, they inserted hundreds of steel needles into my body, sparing no part. My brother continued to examine my arm. There was a star-shaped scar there, but it was now blurred by the steel needles. That scar was from a fight I had when I was little, to protect my brother. After so many years, he probably doesn't even remember it. My heart began to ripple with emotions. My brother lifted my arm, carefully observing that area, because only the skin tissue there was blurred. When he took out a magnifying glass to examine it, my breath trembled. My brother's hand began to feel the skin next to the scar, his brow furrowing slightly. Because that skin had the most steel needles, his forehead dripped with sweat from tension, soaking his mask. Do we know the victim's identity? There must be some clue or mark on the arm, otherwise the killer wouldn't have put 30 needles there. My brother looked up and wiped the sweat from his face, continuing to examine my body, starting from the head and ending at the feet. The result made him take a deep breath. A total of 523 steel needles. It's like the victim suffered the pain of 523 steel needles. How painful is that? Yes, how painful is that? I was such a person who was afraid of pain. My brother quickly finished examining my body. My examination report had already been handed to the police, and my brother stretched his body tiredly. When he walked out of the morgue, he turned back and took a deep look at my arm. I was afraid he wouldn't recognize me, but also afraid he would, because I was the sister he hated most. My brother took off his gloves, wiping his hands as he regretfully said, "The deceased should be around 20 years old, with 523 steel needles in her body. The steel needle in the center of her forehead was a significant cause of death. There are multiple wounds and fractures on her body, indicating she suffered inhumane treatment before her death. Furthermore, the steel needles in her body were inserted one by one while the deceased still had a breath left, because her blood hadn't yet coagulated at that time. Yes, I struggled for a long time. But they still didn't let me go. 523 steel needles, inserted into my body one by one. Every time my body trembled, they became more excited. The finger-thick steel needle in the center of the forehead should have been hammered in. The deceased wasn't dead at this time, so she would have felt the needle entering her brain, and would have endured extremely painful torment in this process. My brother picked up my right hand and carefully compared it. I so hoped he could recognize me. But my mark was no longer visible, and he probably wouldn't recognize me. Then he looked at it, and put it down anyway. The deceased's right arm must have some secret. The most steel needles were inserted in this location. My brother turned around and gave the examination report to the police. The deceased's DNA has been extracted. I believe with your capabilities, you'll soon know who the deceased is, but considering her current state, I hope you'll keep it from her family." The police left. My brother continued to return to my side, constantly comparing various tools in his hand. He wanted to pull out the steel needle from the center of my forehead. After all, it looked very unsightly. He tried hard to pull it out, but he overlooked the fact that my brow was very similar to his. When we were young, Mom never let me keep my hair long, so I always had short hair. Every time I stood with my brother, Mom would always mistake us. It was from that time that I began to be my brother's substitute, because Mom liked my brother. The year my brother passed the forensic examination, Mom said I should take the police exam, so that I could be my brother's substitute for life. The moment the steel needle was pulled out, no blood spurted out because I had been dead for 17 hours. My brother slumped down beside me, and I couldn't help but reach out to touch him. How could I tell him that lying there was the sister he hated most? My brother had always hated me. The only sister he liked was Cecilia, because I knew my brother blamed me for killing Mom. But the truth wasn't like that. Mom's death wasn't my fault. But my brother never believed me. He only believed the truth he saw, because on the day Mom died, only I was beside her, and I was holding a fruit knife in my hand, and Mom was lying next to me. I wanted to explain, but I was met with my brother's slap, Cecilia's scolding, and Dad's ignoring gaze. I wanted to explain that I didn't kill Mom. Mom called me over that day. She wanted me to be my brother's substitute for the rest of my life. I didn't want to. I wanted to live my own life. But Mom threatened me with her life, saying she only gave birth to me so I could be my brother's substitute for life. How could I disobey her? I wanted to argue with Mom, but Mom had already picked up the knife. I could only agree to her. But I didn't expect her to fall in her haste, and the knife pierced her body. In a panic, I pulled out the knife. When my brother arrived, he saw me holding the knife in my hand. From that time on, my brother began to beat and kick me, verbally abusing me, cursing why it wasn't me who died. Dad, because Mom was gone, also became increasingly cold and aloof. He began to become addicted to alcohol. From then on, I became the sister my brother hated most, because it was me who killed Mom. My brother impatiently opened his phone. The screen showed me. Our last chat was a month ago. He sent me a message, telling me if I didn't come home, I shouldn't come home anymore. Yes, I couldn't go home anymore. I would never go home again. I thought I wouldn't shed tears if I became a soul, but unexpectedly, tears still flowed down. The news is broadcasting my news, but my brother is out shopping with Cecilia. Brother, it's been a while since we've seen Aurora. What's she been up to lately? The speaker is Cecilia, our adopted daughter, and my brother's favorite sister. Actually, when I was little, I didn't understand why my mother still had to adopt a sister, when I was already my brother's sister. But later, my mother asked me not to keep my hair long, to imitate my brother's appearance, and to be my brother's substitute. I helped my brother attend military training, helped my brother participate in school outdoor activities, and sometimes I had to be my brother's lab rat, just because my mother said that my brother would become a great forensic doctor in the future. Later, my brother also became the youngest genius forensic doctor, but he didn't expect that the first corpse he handled would be his most hated sister. Why mention her? All she does all day is play around, never does anything serious. She's not as sensible as you. My brother seemed to have heard an unlucky name, his face full of impatience. But I clearly wasn't being frivolous. I was working hard to be a qualified police officer, just to assist you. Maybe Aurora is too busy. I heard she went on a business trip last month. Brother, don't talk about her like that. Cecilia smiled and smoothed things over. I did go on a business trip last month, because my brother's birthday was coming up, so I took the job, just for the extra 500 yuan bonus. That day, I made call after call to my brother, wanting to ask him what gift he liked, but my brother didn't answer any of them. Later he answered the phone followed by his roar. Today is Cecilia's birthday, don't be a nuisance. He hung up the phone, and the hand holding the phone was trembling slightly. But it's clearly my birthday today too, and Cecilia's birthday isn't even today. My brother remembered it wrong. I wanted to call back to remind my brother, but all I heard was a busy signal. My brother blocked me. Holding the gift in my hand, I burst into tears on the side of the road. Business trip? Someone like her going on a business trip must be wanting to take the opportunity to play. When she gets back, I'm going to break her legs. My brother's words pulled me back to my senses. Brother, have you forgotten? My legs are already broken. And you were the one who helped fix them. Okay, brother, don't be angry. Brother, I want this dress, it's so pretty. Cecilia took his hand and started to act spoiled, which was what I always wanted to do, but didn't dare to. My brother affectionately patted her head and said with a smile, "Take whatever you like, brother will pay. Our Cecilia definitely has to wear the prettiest dress." That was a look I had never seen before. My brother would only ever treat me with a cold face. My eyes stung slightly. So, I'm tearing up again. My brother bought Cecilia's favorite mango cake, even though it was his birthday. My brother called my phone, but the call never went through. His expression started to become impatient. He started texting, demanding that I get back within a day, otherwise, I could just die outside and not come back. But brother, you were right, I really can't come back. He'll only ever remember what Cecilia likes to eat. I'm allergic to mangoes, but every year the cake has mango in it, just because Cecilia loves it. I watched my brother looking at Cecilia with a face full of smiles. Even though it was his birthday, he let Cecilia blow out the candles, and the wish she made was that Cecilia would get better and better. It's too dangerous outside recently. I recently took a case where the deceased was subjected to inhuman torture before their death. Don't run around. Cecilia's eyes flickered slightly, and she continued, "I know, brother, don't worry, I won't run around. And don't work too hard lately. Speaking of which, where did Aurora go? Why isn't she back even for your birthday? Isn't she being too inconsiderate?" When my brother heard my name, his face darkened. "She's better off dead outside. I called her and she didn't answer, and she didn't reply to my messages. I don't know what kind of messed up things she's doing." My brother angrily slammed down his chopsticks. Usually, I'm the most obedient to him. Now that his words aren't getting a response, he feels like he's lost face. Cecilia soothingly picked up the birthday present next to her and handed it to my brother. "Oh brother, don't be angry. This is a birthday present I got for you. Hurry up and open it." My brother took the gift, happily unwrapping it while complaining, "Cecilia is so much better. She buys gifts for her brother, unlike her, doesn't answer the phone, doesn't reply to messages, might as well die outside." Cecilia's smile widened, and my brother's face also began to bloom with a smile. The moment the birthday present was unwrapped, my soul froze on the spot. That was clearly the birthday present I bought. I sent it back home. Why is it in Cecilia's hands? Why? I want to take back my gift. That was clearly the birthday present I bought for my brother, but now it's become Cecilia's. My hand passed through her body, and I realized that I'm already dead. But seeing her victorious smile, my body couldn't stop trembling. That's not just a gift. That's the result of my hard work for a month. My brother was very happy, and affectionately pinched her face. "Aurora won't be here for a while, so you can stay in her room. You can move in later. And let her move out, she never comes home anyway." No, that's my room. I wanted to stop her, but she passed through my body. I rushed in front of my brother, wanting him to look at me, but his eyes only saw Cecilia. They happily ate the cake, talking about everything they'd encountered in recent days. My brother quickly helped her move her luggage, affectionately telling her to rest early. Cecilia threw all my things into the trash can, until she walked to a photo. She looked at the smiling three people in the photo frame, and in the next moment, she took scissors and cut it to pieces. "No, that's the only photo I have with Mom and brother." I roared beside her, but she continued her actions. Only when the photo was completely irreparable did she let go with satisfaction. I wanted to pick it up and piece it together, but no matter what, I couldn't touch the photo. My heart ached as if suffocating, and tears flowed uncontrollably. 3 days had passed, and the police had made no progress in their investigation, because apart from my traces, there was absolutely no sign of anyone else having been there. I watched the police examining the scene back and forth, and I couldn't help but rush in front of them to tell them that this wasn't the primary crime scene. But they couldn't hear me at all. I was incredibly anxious, wanting to grab them, but it was all in vain. It was a perfect crime scene, and they wouldn't find any clues. My brother was still examining my body, because he wanted to know the secret of my arm. He repeatedly washed my arm, constantly wiping the wound with alcohol. Finally, after his relentless efforts, there was one survivor patch of skin, next to a partial 5-pointed star. The hand holding the magnifying glass trembled. He started taking off his glasses and wiping them repeatedly, but I noticed his hand was trembling slightly, and cold sweat was starting to break out on his forehead. He wanted to continue examining the mark, but his assistant interrupted him. Dr. Julian, there's been further progress on the case. The police would like you to go to the scene. My brother had no choice but to abandon his current work. He turned back for one last reluctant glance. Just a little bit more, and my brother would have discovered me. When my brother arrived at the scene, the police handed him a bag. He opened it and looked inside, and the next moment his pupils dilated. Because inside the bag was another piece of skin from my arm. The half of the 5-pointed star mark on the skin matched with the one on the body lying in the morgue. Dr. Julian, this is the skin mark you've been looking for these past few days. We searched everywhere here and finally found it. It turns out this isn't the primary crime scene. This is a perfect crime scene. The killer wanted to hide this mark, so there must be some unspeakable secret involved. Also, the victim's DNA will be available today. Dr. Julian, what's wrong? The police noticed my brother's complexion, and he was pale. His eyes were fixed on the skin inside the bag. He took a deep breath, and picked it up to examine. He discovered that it was the same piece of arm skin that he'd examined today. He staggered back a step and ran back as if he was crazy. My brother's hands couldn't stop shaking, which was a huge taboo for a doctor. I couldn't help but want to hold his hand still, but it was no use. He started to compare the piece of skin, and when he found that it matched, his legs couldn't hold him up anymore. He stood up, exhausted, and wanted to see the mark, and when he discovered that the mark was exactly the same as mine, he couldn't support his body anymore, and sweat poured down his forehead. I watched him, wanting to touch him with my hand. He trembled as he opened his phone and scrolled through my WeChat moments, but there wasn't a single photo of myself, only photos of my brother taken on the sly. He then opened his photo album, and found that there weren't any photos of me, only photos of Cecilia and photos of him with Cecilia. He didn't believe it, and wanted to keep searching. Finally, he found a picture of me in our chat history. He zoomed in on my picture, and discovered that my right hand clearly had a distinctive 5-pointed star mark. Just then, the door opened, and his assistant came in with the DNA report. Dr. Julian, the test report is out. The victim's name is Aurora, from Icheng, and she is 20 years old. The phone in my brother's hand fell to the ground. He wanted to speak, but he couldn't make a sound. He frantically examined the test report, and found that it was indeed my DNA. Impossible, it must be wrong, you must have tested it wrong. My brother's voice came out, hoarse beyond recognition. Dr. Julian, we checked. Aurora went missing a month ago. We also investigated the surveillance footage at the time, and the person shown in the footage was Aurora. My brother stood there stunned. He disbelievingly picked up his phone, and continued to dial that familiar number, but only a mechanical voice answered. Impossible, it can't be Aurora, you must be mistaken. My brother muttered to himself, holding the phone. But his body couldn't stop trembling, and his eyes turned red. He unwillingly continued to send me messages and call me, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea, without any response. Large beads of sweat appeared on his forehead, and he didn't have time to wipe them away. But when the sweat dripped into his eyes, I realized he was crying. I had only seen my brother like this on the day Mom died. From that moment on, he became even more silent and withdrawn, like a different person. His phone made a sound. It was the delivery guy, and my birthday present for him had arrived, because he hadn't answered my calls in the past few days. But the birthday present I sent my brother had become Cecilia's gift. He staggered to my side, his hands trembling as he lifted the white sheet covering me. His eyes looked at the space between my eyebrows, and he finally noticed that it looked a lot like his. He put his hand up and gently stroked it, but then he saw a big hole next to it, and couldn't help but take a step back. He finally couldn't hold back and burst into loud sobs. Watching from the side, my heart ached, and tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. He realized that I had sent him many messages back then. and his tears dripped onto his phone, blurring his phone and his eyes. I sent him many messages and made so many calls that day. But my brother had blocked me. That day was clearly my birthday, not Cecilia's. I wanted to struggle, but they injected chemicals into my body, making me unable to move. A voice from the other end of the phone told me to slowly give up the struggle. My brother didn't want me anymore. He only loved Cecilia. But I was his biological sister. They inserted steel needles, one by one, into my body. The bone-deep pain made me feel like death was near. They treated me like a work of art, saying they would turn me into a hedgehog. I wanted to struggle, because I was afraid my brother would be sad. I was afraid that if I died, my brother wouldn't have any relatives. As my consciousness faded, the phone was answered. The voice on the phone wasn't my brother's but Cecilia's. "Aurora, your brother doesn't want you anymore. He said he never wants you to come back. Don't worry, I'll help you take good care of your brother. Your only brother doesn't even want you." Listening to the voice on the phone, I wanted to refute her. That wasn't true, my brother still loved me. But they hammered a steel needle into the space between my eyebrows. At the very last moment, I heard my brother call Cecilia's name. So my brother already had Cecilia. He didn't love me anymore. My brother has never loved me. In his eyes, I'm just a murderer who killed Mom. I took Mom's life. It's right that my brother hates me. He should be happy when I die. But when my brother heard the news, he stayed beside me for an entire night. His eyes became hollow, and he had no vitality at all. His eyes were especially red from staying up all night and crying. My brother should be happy, why is he sad? I floated beside him, unable to resist wanting to see him. The door was pushed open. It was the police officer who had been searching for clues for me. "Please accept my condolences. We haven't been able to find the murderer. I wanted to ask if Miss Song has had any recent feuds." The policeman's words made my brother raise his head slightly. He wanted to speak, but he realized he didn't understand me at all, not even my friends. He could only shake his head. Seeing him like this, the policeman could only tell him to rest well, and contact him if there were any developments. Suddenly he thought of something. My brother started looking around the house, searching for a package in the delivery locker, but he couldn't find what he was looking for. The security guard told him that the package had been picked up, but he didn't know who by. My brother could only return home. "Brother, what's wrong? Have you not been resting well lately? Cecilia, have you received any packages from Aurora in the past few days?" Hearing these words, Cecilia's eyes changed, but she quickly adjusted herself. "No, what package, brother?" My brother glanced at her, and didn't mention my affairs. He only told her not to run around these days. Suddenly my brother noticed the bracelet on Cecilia's hand. He grabbed Cecilia's hand tightly. "Where's the bracelet I gave you?" "Brother, I'm sorry. I lost it last time when I went swimming. I didn't mean to lose it, brother, don't be angry." Cecilia started to feel pain. My brother seemed to suddenly remember something. The policeman had told him before he left that there was a bracelet at the scene. They didn't know if it was mine, so they took it back to examine. My brother released Cecilia's hand, and told her to study hard. I followed my brother to the police station, where he asked the policeman to bring out the bracelet. He carefully observed it. This bracelet was clearly the one he gave to Cecilia. Why was it here? Why was it that Cecilia's bracelet was lost so coincidentally? He couldn't understand it. His face became increasingly pale. "Dr. Julian, what's wrong? Have you found something?" The policeman was worried about my brother's health. "That's not the primary crime scene. There must be another place you haven't found. Aurora would never go to such a dangerous place, so the primary crime scene must be in a lively area nearby." My brother calmly said everything, but his face became more and more unsightly, as if he had thought of something. "Are you sure?" "Dr. Julian, I've searched the vicinity. There are no clues." "Swimming, are there any places nearby to swim?" "Yes, Dr. Julian, there's a game hall nearby, but it's been dilapidated for a long time." Hearing the answer, my brother quickly called the police to rush to the scene together. As if verifying what he had in mind, under the shadow of the light, I noticed my brother's steps were a little unsteady. When they arrived at the scene, they found nothing. I was anxious. I wanted to tell them I was right here, right in that dilapidated factory next door. As if brother had a telepathic connection, He went straight into the factory next door. Pulling back the concealing curtain, the first thing that hit us was a strong and pungent fishy smell. The police behind him couldn't help but cover their noses, but brother kept walking forward. Until he saw bloodstains all over the floor, with traces of my struggle, he finally couldn't hold on and collapsed. He looked at the bloodied handprints everywhere, his eyes bloodshot. Next to him were thousands of steel needles, not all of them used, and various torture implements. Even the well-informed police couldn't help but exclaim. Looking at those tools, my soul couldn't help but tremble. They locked me here, torturing me day and night. I begged them to let me go, but what I got was even more terrifying torture. My brother ran his hand over the bloodied handprints I left behind, not just one, but countless traces of my desperate struggle to survive day and night. His tears fell, but the tears couldn't wash away those traces, because the blood had dried. He wanted to wipe them away with his hand. But it was all in vain. It had been too long. Too long, too long. For the past month, I wanted to live, but they didn't let me go. I don't know what I did wrong. I clearly didn't do anything. I just wanted to buy a birthday present for my brother, but I was kidnapped here. Dr. Julian, there's a cell phone here. Brother took the phone, wanting to enter my birthday, but he couldn't remember it. Later he entered Cecilia's birthday, and he realized that it wasn't Cecilia's birthday that day, but mine. Opening my call history, he found dozens of missed calls, all made on the same day. He looked at the time he was spending Cecilia's birthday that day, so he blocked my number because I was annoying. His hand was shaking so much that he couldn't hold the phone. He could have saved my life if he had just answered one call that day, but he didn't. He burst into tears. The sealed memories finally came back to him. I died in the prime of my life at 20, and he was spending Cecilia's birthday that day. The bloodied handprints on the ground and the various torture devices here were enough to prove how much I had suffered in the past month. The police took away all the torture devices to check for fingerprints. Brother stood there blankly, frantically thinking, was he forgetting something? My brother rushed home and opened Cecilia's room. He frantically searched inside, and soon he found a piece of clothing with traces of blood still on it. It turned out that Cecilia was wearing this outfit on the morning of my birthday, but she had changed in the evening. My brother quickly took the clothes back to the hospital and extracted the blood from them. I finally remembered. The person I saw after being injected with the drug was Cecilia. The bracelet I desperately grabbed was also hers. She tortured me to death during the day and even came back to celebrate my birthday at night. My heart sank. I never expected that Cecilia was the devil. Knowing the truth, my soul began to tremble, tearing at my heart. I wanted to tell my brother that Cecilia was the murderer, but my brother couldn't hear me. I was anxious, but my soul could only float beside my brother. I wanted to break through the barrier, but the fear deep in my soul pulled me back. My brother went home because he had promised Cecilia to have dinner with her today. Brother, you're back. Let's eat quickly. I made so much food for you. Cecilia warmly took my brother's hand. I wanted to pull my brother's hand away. I wanted to tell him that Cecilia would hurt him, but my brother just smiled dotingly at her and sat down at the table to eat. I was anxious, but helpless. Cecilia, where were you on the 15th of this month? Brother couldn't find you when I went to school. I was even going to buy you a birthday present. My brother casually brought up the topic. Cecilia's chopsticks fell on the table, but she quickly returned to normal. Oh, I went swimming that day, brother. Didn't I tell you? Brother forgot. Because I saw your bracelet was missing earlier. I wanted to ask where you were playing when you lost it. I'm sorry, brother. I really lost it by accident. My brother started to pay attention to her eyes, but her eyes were only filled with a smile. My brother didn't say anything else after that. My brother rushed back to the hospital. The results came back, and the blood on the clothes wasn't mine, but Cecilia's. I watched my brother deflate like a punctured balloon, but only I knew that Cecilia had 2 of those outfits. My brother glanced at me and vowed to avenge me, his eyes red. The police quickly had some news. My brother rushed to the police station. The police told him there were too many fingerprints. At least 4 people participated in the torture, one of whom was a girl. My brother started to examine the report, his face growing increasingly heavy. One of these 4 people is a girl, And the fingerprints on the hammer that was hammered into the victim's forehead belonged to the girl. I wonder how much hatred there was. And we found two people's fingerprints on the bracelet that was found earlier. One belongs to the deceased, and the other is the same as the fingerprint on the hammer. This means these two people are the same person. Dr. Julian, when you saw that bracelet last time, I wanted to ask you, do you know the owner of the bracelet? My brother dazedly returned home. The policeman's words plunged him into deep thought. My soul is becoming increasingly fragile, and sometimes I can't help but want to sleep. But I can't fall asleep, because my brother is still here. Cecilia's next target is my brother. I watched Cecilia prepare dinner, watched her put the poison in with my own eyes. I wanted to stop her, but she couldn't see me. I ran to my brother's side, but he was staring blankly at the computer. Anxiously, I reached out to touch him, but he couldn't see me. I could only knock over the cup next to him. The cup fell to the ground, but my brother didn't react at all. I was so anxious I was spinning in circles. Soon my brother sat down at the dining table, Cecilia's smile widening. Brother, come on, I've prepared a surprise for you today. Okay, then brother has also prepared a surprise for you today. He started to pick up the food in front of him, and I wanted to push it away. I wanted to tell him that it was poisoned. But my brother still ate it, and Cecilia watched, the smile in her eyes unstoppable. Brother, how about I tell you a story? You know, once upon a time there was a rabbit. She was very, very good, but her family didn't like her, and her brother didn't like her either. But she loved her brother very much. And every day she would go from very, very far away to bring him the freshest grass. But one day, when she went out to forage for food, she was accidentally caught by a hunter. She struggled frantically, but the hunter didn't let her go. Instead, he found it very interesting, so he tortured her day and night, not letting her die. Moreover, the hunter thought she was too cute, so he decided to make her into a work of art. Brother, do you know what it is? Cecilia looked at my brother with a smile. The hunter turned her into a hedgehog. You know, people inserted steel needles one by one into her body. She started to struggle, started to cry for help, but the hunter didn't let her go. And when her brother passed by, the more she struggled. But her brother didn't even look at her. And she was so amazing, she persevered for a month. During that month, she was waiting for her brother to come and save her. But her brother never came to save her, because her brother hated her. He didn't even look at her when he passed by. Do you know what? She was very strong at first, but later she heard her brother tell her to die. So she gave up struggling. Her eyes were full of unwillingness. You see, such a good rabbit. But her brother still didn't like her. Brother, do you think this story is good? Cecilia looked at my brother with a face full of smiles, paying attention to his every move. My brother didn't react much, just put the vegetables into her bowl. Who told you this story? It's too bloody, don't listen to it next time. Cecilia heard the satisfactory answer, and the smile on the corner of her mouth grew wider. But I saw that my brother's right hand had already pinched his thigh until it was swollen, and his legs were shaking uncontrollably. Brother, after telling the story, I'll give you a surprise that I've been preparing for you for several months. Cecilia opened the box next to her. I looked up and my pupils instantly dilated. It was a fruit knife. Before my brother could react, the fruit knife was pressed against his neck. Brother, you know what? I like you. I like you very much. If you weren't Aurora's brother, I might have let you go. Do you know, she was thinking of you when she died. During that month, she struggled day and night, and the ground was covered with her bloody handprints. Do you know why she gave up struggling later? On her birthday, she made many phone calls to you, but you didn't answer any of them. Later, I helped you answer them, but she heard you tell her to die. Ha ha ha, you are very much to my liking. Yi Cheng's youngest genius forensic doctor. The first corpse he dissected was actually his own sister. How does that feel? Ha ha. Cecilia relaxed and laughed wildly, her eyes full of unstoppable excitement. My brother listened to her words and fell into a state of self-blame. I started to be afraid that my brother would also die in front of me. What did Aurora do wrong? Why did you kill her? My brother roared at her. She didn't do anything wrong. Blame her for liking you too much, so I couldn't help but want to kill her. She was thinking of you until she died. Do you know she asked me to let you go, ha ha, What an idiot, you hate her so much, but she wants to protect you all the time. Cecilia gestured at my brother's neck as she spoke, as if trying to figure out where to start. Brother's eyes were filled with disbelief. He hadn't expected to indirectly harm me. He lowered his head, but the moment he did, I sensed his murderous intent. Cecilia looked at my brother and laughed. A genius forensic doctor? I'll send you to reunite with your dear sister right away. Just as she was about to make her move, my brother was quicker and snatched the fruit knife. He stabbed it directly into Cecilia's waist. Cecilia's eyes were filled with disbelief. How could this be? Weren't you poisoned? Brother spat out blood, but his hand holding the knife didn't loosen. Even if I die, I'll take you with me. Cecilia laughed when she heard his words. Ha ha ha, brother, you really are a madman. Why don't you let me go and join me? I'll help you kill people, and you can dissect the bodies. Hearing her words, brother tightened his grip on the knife. No, brother can't go to jail. Don't call me brother, you disgust me. Blood kept pouring from brother's mouth, and the moment he fell, the sound of police sirens came from the doorway. Dr. Julian, are you all right? Do you know how worried we were that you would put yourself in danger like this? Besides me, no one could approach her. Brother lay weakly in the hospital bed. The culprit is named Cecilia, a mental patient who escaped from Lee City. She already had 2 cases there. We didn't expect her to escape here, and no one would find her for several years. Dr. Julian, you've done a great service this time. What reward would you like? Brother ignored his words. I want to see her. Cecilia was locked in a dark dungeon, filled with a foul stench. Where is Aurora's bracelet? Brother looked at her calmly. Want to know? It's in my stomach. Can you kill me? Cecilia looked at him provocatively, even though she was already seriously injured. I'll ask you again, where is her bracelet? I didn't understand why brother was so obsessed with a bracelet. He didn't want it when I gave it to him before, he threw it in the trash, and I picked it up and carried it with me all the time. Julian, belated affection is worth less than dog shit. Why didn't you treat her better when she was alive? Now that she's dead, you want to take her things. Do you think she'll forgive you if you do that? You're just trying to ease your inner unease, ha ha ha. She laughed wildly, and the next moment, she fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, her body trembling nonstop. So she was a drug addict. Her eyes began to blur. Please give me drugs, she kept begging on her knees. But brother showed her no pity. The patient in cell number 3 needs a sedative, please inject it. Brother's cold voice came. I was shocked. Brother as a doctor couldn't possibly not know that these 2 drugs are contraindicated. My brother came to my side, but he didn't have the courage to lift the white sheet. He leaned beside me, collapsing onto the ground. A series of sounds reached me. I looked over and saw him harming himself. The scars on his hand healing only to be replaced by new wounds. I wanted to stop him, but I was too weak. I knew I was about to disappear. I was becoming increasingly sleepy, needing to sleep for hours each day. Whenever I woke up, I would always see my brother staring blankly by my side. The next time I woke up, he was carefully wiping my body. Aurora, it's almost time. Just wait a little longer. I'll avenge you soon. I didn't know what he was going to do. I couldn't stop him anymore. My soul was growing weaker and weaker, and sometimes I couldn't even distinguish reality. A voice came from the doorway. Dr. Julian, the patient in room 3 is experiencing a critical alert. Whenever I woke up, I would always see my brother staring blankly by my side. The next time I woke up, he was carefully wiping my body. Aurora, it's almost time. Just wait a little longer. I'll avenge you soon. I didn't know what he was going to do. I couldn't stop him anymore. My brother rushed to the scene. He coldly watched Cecilia struggling on the bed. Because she had been injected with sedatives, the 2 medications were clashing, raging through her body. Her liver was rotting step by step. Cecilia saw my brother as if he were a lifeline, struggling desperately. Please let me go or just kill me. Her voice was particularly piercing in the room. Let you go? How could I? Why didn't you let Aurora go back then? My brother's cold voice rang out. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Please let me go, Cecilia pleaded incessantly, but the only response was my brother's cold voice. Don't you like works of art? How about I turn you into a specimen after you die, for the world to admire? You know, I'm a forensic doctor, and I'm definitely professional at dissecting corpses. I definitely won't let you feel any pain. Cecilia's body began to tremble uncontrollably. She wanted to get away from my brother. But my brother grabbed her chin. Want to run? You can't escape. All the people here are mine. I will repay you double for the damage you did to Aurora's body. My brother's voice was like something from hell. Cecilia screamed wildly, but no one could save her. My brother buried me beside my mother. There was no expression on his face. Aurora, brother will avenge you. Don't worry, they will definitely receive 100-fold, 1,000-fold punishment. I was too weak to answer him. My soul could no longer maintain a standing position. I could disappear at any moment. Cecilia had gone mad. Her liver had completely rotted, and her entire body was covered in scratch marks. My brother didn't let her die, using different medications every day to keep her alive. I could only lie there, watching my brother research something. A burst of chaotic sounds erupted. Cecilia was dead. She had committed suicide, unable to bear the pain. He only moved her to the morgue, put on a mask, and began the autopsy. He kept dissecting, searching incessantly inside. Finally, he found what he was looking for, my bracelet. My brother dissected her body and turned it into a specimen, putting it on display at the hospital for the world to see. Later, my brother became the youngest genius forensic doctor in Ichang. But his hands also developed a problem. They always trembled uncontrollably, and he could only rely on medication to maintain them. My soul began to slowly disappear. Just before disappearing, my brother glanced in my direction, his lips forming the words, "Goodbye." My pupils contracted, and I disappeared from this world. If possible, I don't want to meet my brother again in the next life.